Okay. Um, when we want to import our data from SQL, we can actually use the sales data schema we just created today, import the data. The data we used actually, or the table we used actually, we're going to just do away with it because we didn't actually create much data to be able to, that can be able to be used for this class. So we're going to come over to the schema and then locate the table in the schema. Right click on it, scroll down to data import wizard, right? Then you click on it. When you click on data import wizard, it's going to bring you here. If you have the file path copied to your clipboard, you can just paste it. But since we don't have our file path copied to our clipboard, we can just use this browse and then it's going to take us here. So the data I have is on the desktop. So we just click on the desktop here. That's the location of the data you save. So it sells data. So we click on it and then we click open. So right now, once you click on open, you just click on next, don't touch anything. Then here we can see the name of the column names we have in this data set. We have column customer ID, the customer name, the product ID, the sales amount, and then the region this sales took place. Then you can see field type, that's the data types of these column names. You can see the integer, that's the customer ID. Then the customer name, that's just normal name. Then the product ID, which is integer, each product has its count. Let's say the store has 100 products. These products are each of the product has its own ID. That's product one, product two to the last product you have. Then the sales amount, these are the amounts that each person bought or each of your customer paid to buy a certain product. Then the sales region, this is let's say you have two stores and then there's store A and there's store B. So there's region A and region B. This is just what it means. And then if you come down here, you can see the whole data is being displayed here. So you cannot change anything. If you want to change anything, you only change something if you are sure the data type is not correct. Let's say this customer ID decides to be a date time, all right? You can decide to just go ahead and then change it back to integer and then click on next. Don't click any other thing. Click on next again and then wait for it to import. Okay, this is just a small data. The importation took just few seconds. If you have a large data set, you might have to wait for 30 minutes or almost an hour if the data is too big. But this is just a small data. So you click on next and then you click on finish. All right. So you come to the schema right now and then refresh. You can see we have cells and we have sales data. The cells was the one we created and this sales data is the one we imported. So if you want to view this data, you can actually use use this code to check, but if you don't want to do that, you can just click on this to display the whole data for you. You can see we have the customer ID, customer name, product ID, and amount. So it's the same code you see here that you're going to be using in your query. So you select instead of I told you guys about asterisk. Asterisk is just a representation of all. So if we just select all, then you can use an enter key or you can just leave it here and then type from um let's just say sales, right? Sales data. Let me see if this is going to run for you. Okay, so you can see the table right now. It's displaying everything for us in the table. So we have customer ID, we have the customer name. I just use this for the customer name. So I don't want to include name. Then there's product ID. Each product has its own ID, and then the sales amount, and then the sales region. There's just two region A and B. So you can use this to close this. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is we we want to look at the aggregate function, how they are. So I said the count function returns the number of rows. That's it counts the numbers of rows in a column, and then the sum adds up the value in that column, and then the average returns the average of the value in that column. Then the max return the largest value, the highest value. The mean return the smallest value in the data. Okay, so let's just see how we can use this all together. So using the select clause, we want to select something from this table. Let's just open a tab because we'll be writing many things. So let's just start with the count. We can start with the count right now, and then we want to know how many customers are in this store. So we can use this count to count the number of customers in our store. So we specify the it's advisable you go back to your data to know your column names. You need to be able to know your column names because each thing you do, you're going to specify the column names. You're going to write the column name. So you can see we have customer ID, customer name, product ID, sales amount, and sales region. So we want to know the number of customers in our that have bought products from us. So we can just use this customer ID. You look at the spellings very well and make sure you look at the case. It's case sensitive. If it's small letters, please type it as small letters. If it's alphabet, it's capital letters, please type it as capital letters because any mistake you're going to get an error. So you just use your customer ID. You want to count the number of customer IDs. So let me say something about this as. This as is just it's just a temporal. Okay, you are assigning a name to represent the whole function or the whole thing you are doing here. So if you're counting the customer ID, you cannot just count it and leave it like that unless you're writing one line of query. But if you're writing multiple lines of query, you have to specify what these functions should be stored as or should be displayed as. So if you count the customer ID right now, you can just say as let's say our total number of customers. We can just say total customers in our stores. So we just say total customer. Then we use a comma, right? The next thing we need to do is let's use sum right now. Then we find the sum, open bracket. So when you are using aggregation, you when you write the aggregation, you open a bracket and then you pass in the column you want to perform the aggregation on. So if you write the sum right now, okay. So let's say we want to know how much goods we sold, or how much we sold for the month or the period we want to make our analysis on. So we just find the sum of let's go back and check the table name or the column name. This is the sales amount, right? We want to find how much we were able to make from this month in our total sales. So we just call in sales amount. Is that the spelling? Let's see. Sales amount. Okay, it's correct. So we have a sales amount right now. We can just see as let's see total sales for the month. Let's see. And it could be anything that you think will be understandable by the person you're presenting the result to. So we have done our sum right now. The next thing we do is we can find the average. All right. Okay, we can find the average of what average can we find? I think the only average we can find here is on the sales amount because that's the only thing we can make calculation on. We can't make calculation on our small customer ID. We can't add them. It won't give us any meaning. And you can't add customer name. One thing I needed to say is these aggregation functions. This count can work with anything, whether alphabets or letters. But some you can't add letters. You can't add letters. You can actually add letters, but that's a special function. You can't use this sum to add letters. You can only use it to add numbers. Then average also, you can only use it to add You can only use it to find the average of numbers, not the average of letters or something. So we can just use the sales amount to here. Just say sales amount. Then we set as, we can just say AVG, right? Let's not just write long. Just say AVG sales. That's average sales. Okay, someone is joining now. Okay. All right. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is the mean. That's the minimum or the mean function. So the main function right now is just to find the minimum. So we can just find the least sell amount we did last month or in the data. So we can just say the least sell amount or the minimum sell amount. Then we can just say it as what do we say? Let's say as the least. Let's say least sell. We just add comma again. The next thing is the max function, right? The max function. We can find the maximum cell, the highest cell we made. So it's just the cell amount. Then as let's say list and let's say highest cell. So after all this, you can see we have all the aggregation functions: count, sum, average, mean, and max under here. After all this, you have to specify where you want to make this aggregation or where you want to get this information. So I'm just trying to make sure this is good. So right, this is the syntax to use aggregation functions. If you just want to let me just run this first so that we can see. Okay, there's an error on non-column sales amount in field. Let me just look at what's happening with the sales amount. Okay, sales amount, something is wrong with the column. Let me see something. I don't know what's wrong with that. Um, let me see. Still something is wrong with that. On non-sales amount, I think there is something. Let me just copy field name from here and reduce the stress of having to check, because it could be there's something wrong with the. Okay, sales amount. All right. Let me still go over it and see. We're still having the same error on non-column sales amount. What's happening? 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 Let me see something. This is sales data, and this is sales. Let me just drop this. Okay, man. Drop now, right? And then let's run this. Let me just see this. Sales amount, copy fill name, and then run this. On non-column sales. Let me see. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me see. I'm sorry. We actually didn't use the table name. The table name is here, not actually just cells. I forgot the cells data was different from the cells column we created or the cells table we created last time. So we just use this cells